Watkins Glen International for round 6 of the Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 2 American Sports Car Championship. I'm your host, Carlin Hicks. Sorry for the delay here tonight. A little bit of technical snafus in the room as they were clearing some debris off the track. But we have got a fantastic show, fantastic race for you tonight here at Watkins Glen. One of my favorite circuits, of course, the longtime host of the United States Grand Prix in Formula One during the 60s and 70s and into the early 80s. And it is just a legendary track. That is, a light rain will be falling, we anticipate, throughout the session here in upstate New York. So we fully anticipate just a fantastic show here. I was telling the drivers earlier on in the race room, or in the pre-race, one of my personal favorite victories was in an IndyCar race here in Watkins Glen in a driving rainstorm. This place is a fast, sweeping track. It can be extremely challenging in the wet, but a highly satisfying place to race as well. And we will run you through the track. Of course, the 20-minute qualifying session just opening up now here at Watkins Glen in upstate New York. Glad to have you back here with us on Flux TV this week. The Flux American Tour making its sojourn here to Watkins Glen this week, coming off the spectacular races at Road America. We'll talk about those a little bit as well. But the championship getting down to the wire here in the final 3 races. We fully anticipate this one to be an equal show. As I said, this is a long-time stop of the Flux American Tour from even before it was under Flux sanctioning. And been coming here for a long time. It is one of the truly great circuits in North America. They began racing on the streets here shortly after World War II. When that proved too dangerous, they built the permanent circuit. It's located a couple of hours northwest of New York City in the Finger Lakes region, a area of upstate New York with a number of lakes carved out by glaciers during one of the last ice ages. And it really just creates a spectacular track to race on. It's got wide sweeping corners. We are, of course, here for the American Sports Car Championship, which I will refer to here for as the ASC. We are on the full-length 3.37-mile Grand Prix circuit. Of course, tomorrow night the Indy cars will be racing on the short course minus the boot. And right now you are looking at the current Flux American Sports Car Championship points leader. That is NZ Jack from down in New Zealand. He is sitting on 131 points with a 13-point lead over second place. And Jack has had him a terrific season, really, coming off a second place finish last week at Road America, but he has had himself a fantastic season, has Jack, overall. Winner at Long Beach back in round 3 a few weeks back. That was his first career win. In the Flux Motorsport American Sports Car Championship. Ran a terrific race at Long Beach. Last week he managed to finish second to O'Brien, who's not here. We'll talk about that a little later. But his consistency has been the key for Jack so far this season. He's got the win at Laguna Seca, at Long Beach, the second place at Road America last week, giving him 2 total podiums. He's got a pole position as well. And it's been consistency and speed. Now, these guys are going to want to put, before too much water gets down on the track, they are going to need to get their fastest times in early. But in that number 5 Egg Melt Corvette, as we said, Jack comes in with a lead, but not a comfortable lead. With 3 rounds to go and 3 very difficult circuits, it's going to be a challenge for sure. All right, currently at the top of the speed chart in the Caparel Chevy Corvette is the second place driver in the points. That is Mick Toasty. McToastie's had himself a terrific season. 2 seconds and 2/3. He has 4 podium finishes in the 5 races this season, which is the reason he is all the way up in second place and only 13 points back, but has not got into victory lane yet. And why that is going to be a very key point is that it was exactly 1 season ago right here at Watkins Glen that McToastie picked up his first and thus far only American Sports Car Championship win. He took this race last season, is the defending champion, which he took in the dry last season. So he's coming back to defend his race title here. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. Going to pull up the docs here. Super Crusher checking in, saying they couldn't fix both cars. Revs Martin, however, the teammate will be in the race. Too bad we're not seeing you, Super Crusher, absolutely. But yeah, as I said, McToastie won this race last season, lightning quick in these cars, knows this track very well. The American drivers are all really familiar with this place. Okay, pardon me, a little audio difficulties in the background. Did Cat Guy win it? Because I thought that it was Super Crusher saying that it was Cat Guy that won this race, but I have to look up the docs because I thought that it was McToastie. But let's take a look. Season 1 GTEs. Alright, round 6 at Watkins Glen. Yeah, I guess it was Cat Guy. Where was it McToastie got his win at then? I could have swore he got one. Maybe he hasn't. Let's take a look. McToastie apparently hasn't. I've been speaking out of turn. I broadcast too many damn series. That is why we need more broadcasters. So please join fluxmotorsport.com. Sign up for our Discord. You can be a driver and participate on our media team. Too many things to try to remember off the top of my head. Apparently, no, McToastie did not get a win last season. In the last season's Watkins Glen race, it was indeed Cat Guy who picked up the win with Super Crusher second and O'Brien third. There you go. You learn something new every single day, apparently. But let us go ahead and pull our docs back up here. He is correct. Cat Guy did win that race. That was his 1 ASC win last season. Anyway, as I said, the Cat Guy is an American driver. My point holds still. All the Americans know this track really well. Cat Guy's from the vicinity. Not surprised. But McToastie, as he said, needs a big race here today. 13 points back, 3 to go. This is a track he knows well. 9 minutes in, a wet qualifying session, often you're going to see, unlike on a dry session where you'll see the rubber build up and a little bit, the track get faster, the track's going to get slower. So you might be looking at pretty much what we're looking at. Looks like Just Piddlin sitting there in second might have got a timing penalty, 1 grid place. But we'll come back to him here shortly. Let's get on to Taijo, the Ford mainstay making his way out of the pits. Taijo, of course, the European driver, had the big win at Willow Springs for the first win of his ASC career, as well as the first win for the Fords. Taijo's sitting third in the points right now. That win is his only podium of the season. However, he has been very consistently in the top 5, and as such finds himself 28 points back in third place. But in a racetrack like this, I think a lot of the guys think the Fords are good in the wet, that they are very aerodynamic, they provide a lot of mechanical grip. We'll have to see if that is the case. Taijo, as we said, he's done it. He and McToasty, second and third in the points, and they haven't won a race. They've done it with consistency, but they definitely want to pick up a win. As you can see him going by Deadly Hawk, our Porsche mainstay there. But these guys very much still in the championship. Super Crusher in the other Team Paris Spirit car, he's running fourth in the points right now, but they could not get his car repaired for this week. He is going to miss this one as well, unfortunately. That takes us back to fifth in the points, and that is the McCool number 50 Corvette of Just Piddlin'. Just Piddlin', a Flux rookie this season. He made a splashing debut with a runner-up finish in the traditional opener at Daytona, and since then has been consistently mid-pack. He does not have another podium, but he has been he has put up a couple of top 5s. He's been consistently in the mid-pack or higher. And with what appears to be a 10-car field here in the wet tonight, he should be able to pull something off like that again. Currently coming in 5th place, 37 points back, by no means out of this championship, but he needs to make that move coming up very soon. 6th place in the championship is O'Brien, last week's winner at Road America. He's not going to get to take his victory lap here this week, as he does not have a car entered. That'll bring us down to 7th in the point standings heading in. That is the other Team Paris Spirit car of Revs Martin in the 82. Super Crusher's teammate and progenitor. Revs, so far this season, has not got on the podium. He has come very close. He has a couple of top 5. He has a top 5. I know he had a 4th place a couple of weeks back at Indianapolis. So Revs has had some very solid runs this season and has been knocking on the door of getting up towards that podium. The pace has been picking up. I think with him it's been not so much the pace as needing to qualify a little higher. If he could get a little bit of a better starting spot, and then you combine that with the fact that the 1 or 2 odd lapses here or there that have pushed him back, for the most part he's been running a pace concurrent with most of the leaders, and I think it's a matter of time before we see him get sprayed with champagne up on the podium. 8th in points is Cat Guy, who is in fact the defending champion at this race in the number 3 factory Corvette. Cat Guy has had a rough season in his run in the ASC. He only has 1 podium. That was a 2nd place finish a few weeks back. He has had a lot of damage, has found himself in a lot of incidents, and while coming into this race he finds himself well back in the points going into the final 3 races. Still lots of spots that he could possibly make up, and as I said, as the defending champion of this race, Cat Guy from this region of the country, this is basically a home race for him, and I fully expect to see him put up a solid run here tonight. That brings us back to 9th, and that is our factory Porsche mainstay Deadly Hawk. Got on the podium earlier this season at Willow Springs, I believe, and he's got that front end banged up. We did not see him last week, but he has been the Porsche mainstay, and as of right now hasn't put a time in, so I don't have to fully expect that we will likely see him starting shotgun on the field here. We'll be looking forward to see what that Porsche can do here in the wet, because I think it's a good car for these conditions. Chris 94 M Sport not here. Let's just cycle back through some of the guys in the field as well. Muttley, of course, in the other Ford car, the number 8 yellow one, the Aussie driver, sitting 11th in the points. You've got Hard Luck Pogo Mojo. He's 13th in the points on the season. Came into the season a championship contender, as we all knew, but has had one thing after another sidetrack his shot at the title. I know with him, he just wants to get a win in, regardless of where the points come. One of these final races here on the American Tour at either Watkins, Glen, Laguna Seca, or the Texas Motor Speedway, he just wants to get a win, get himself set up for season 3. I believe he's starting to feel that he's got some of the development on the car right. And one last car to point out, freshly passed his evaluation for Flux Motorsport and is making his, not only his Flux Motorsport American Sports Car Championship debut, but I believe, as Pogo goes into the wall, but also his overall Flux Motorsport competition debut in the number 5 Corvette. That is Cracked Piston. Informed us before the race, he comes here from the Gold Coast of Australia. Corvette putting him in, Egg Melt putting him in a Corvette ride, flying him hell of a flight from the Gold Coast all the way to Watkins, Glen, USA. But he is making his debut here tonight. As of yet has not put a time in, but as a debut driver, I'm sure he's getting out here just trying to get the feel of the car, the feel of the track here in stateside, and we'll have to see what he brings to the table. As we're down inside of 4 minutes, not a whole lot of cars even circulating. They know that the fastest times have been done. I'm going to bet that NZ Jack, though, is just getting some practice in. He just wants to see what the car will do. And if NZ Jack is one of those who actually watches the broadcast, maybe I can do the track walk during qualifying for once. So we'll get into the cockpit here as he comes off the final turn and try to give you a track walk here at Watkins Glen. You come down the short front stretch here, mind the arrow there on the map on the right corner, tell you where you are. Uphill, heading downhill to the tough turn 1. Now you're going downhill here in the wet. You want to get as close to that curve on the right as you can, but not too far, or the car will become very light on you. As you get ready to head up into the S's, the car wants to push you wide to the left here, and the same thing when you do the switchback. Right here wants to spling you to the right. Now once you get back on full throttle here, you should be full throttle all the way down to the bus stop chicane, which we'll talk a little bit about that later on, as I did in last season's broadcast. Now through the bus stop, got to be careful here. You want to use the curbs a little, but not too much. Got to be very careful with the throttle. You see right there, Jack getting a little light on the back end, so he's being very careful as he comes through the carousel. And here on the Grand Prix circuit, you then veer off to the left as opposed to the right on the short track and into the boot. Now right here, your car is going to get light again, but you're going to get very hard on the gas heading downhill into the hard right-hand point of the boot, second or third gear depending on your setup, and then it's back climbing up the hill to an almost, I believe, more than 90-degree right-hand corner. Yes, it definitely is. Throttle, very tough corner here as you get back onto the short course. Car can get very light right there. Same thing coming through this section here. You don't want to run up too far onto the curbs, and then that's going to lead you right back around onto the final corner and onto the front stretch. There is a lap at Watkins Glen, courtesy of your points leader, NZ Jack. As we are winding down qualification, does not look like we are going to see any dramatic changing of positions here. But I think the story here is guys are going to bang up their cars. They're going to have to make repairs. Anybody who doesn't is going to have an advantage, but you've got to keep the tires on. I honestly think we're going to see a pit stop, possibly just for tires, whether or not there's damage or not. The guys on the European Tour can back me up on this. They've been running 2 seasons worth of GT1 races that seems to have a cloud or rain following them, and it definitely affects the tire wear. These soft compound for the rain tires definitely chews them up. Got Michelin's there on the Corvettes, and it doesn't matter what make of tire you put on it, it's not lasting very long in these type of conditions. So likely, I think we will see pit stops. I may be wrong, and someone will surprise me. If anybody, I'm the guy off that will have often been told to you that if anybody's going to make it last, I used to drive. I'll drive on rims and see if I can make it home. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody does that, but who knows? That's why we're here, folks. We're here to watch it. I think everybody doesn't want to be in the middle of the pack at the start, but you don't want to give away too much time trying to come through the field. We've seen the fastest cars can do it, but you know, the benefit I think that these guys have, only a 10-car field. We've had a number of absent drivers over the last couple weeks, and so with a smaller field, you've got less traffic to deal with. But it is now time for us to give you the starting order for your Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 2 American Sports Car Championship Round 6 at Watkins Glen. Starting on the pole in the Caparel Corvette, another pole position for Mick Toasty with a terrific 147.397 in the rain. Just Piddlin qualified second. He will, however, be starting in row 2 with that 1 grid pace penalty. Qualifying third was NZ Jack. He'll be starting on the outside of row 1. Actually in second, moving up. Ty Joe will be starting fourth atop qualifying. Ford on the outside of row 2. Starting fifth will be Pogo Mojo in the McCool's Corvette. He'll be flanked on the outside of row 3 by Revs Martin in the Team Parispheric Chevy. Starting seventh will be OGR Cat Guy in the factory Corvette. He's flanked on the outside of row 4 by Muttley in the Ford GT. The ASC debutant Cracked Piston from Australia will be making his debut in the other Egg Melt Corvette, starting in 9th place, and on the outside of row 5 will be the lone Porsche entry, that is Deadly Hawk. So we are looking forward to a fantastic race here. 45 minutes in the rain at the legendary Watkins Glen, and this ought to be fantastic. As we said before, folks, you're watching fluxmotorsport.com. Should be a link on the YouTube there. Can sign you up for the Discord, get you involved in all the racing action, or on our media team looking for merchandise, discounts. We've got just about everything you need right at fluxmotorsport.com. Turn 1, we say it every week. So of course going to be the big story. Guys, almost somebody's going to get banged around at that point. You fully expect to see that. However, try to minimize it to whatever extent possible. Really comes down to just being smart and realizing, you got to be aggressive too. You got to make your moves. And I watch enough sports car racing to know that this stuff happens in IRL as well. So these guys got to be careful. But I think that the key thing is just you want to get separated. If I'm starting somewhere, say I'm in mid-pack, I don't want to fall all the way to the back, obviously. But if I fall back a row or two, whatever, that's not the big deal. You just want to make sure that you get settled in. All right, here they come around the final turn. The lights will be dropping. The green flag will be coming. McToasty and NZ Jack are the ones leading us down. And we are green at Watkins Glen. Cars spreading out, heading down into turn 1. It looks like McToasty's going to hang on to it. Let's see if anybody else behind him has any problems. Get to the back of the field with our drone cam. You see Deadly Hawk in this Porsche trying to make his move. Oh, somebody gets up into the wall. That looks like Pogo already up into the wall, coming through the S's. And he falls back a few positions. Got what looks like a little bit of damage there to the back windshield. As you can see, the cars coming through the bus stop, just tiptoeing it through right there. You're looking at Revs Martin in 5th place, just trying to get those tires, get used to the grip out on the track. You know it's going to be difficult coming through the boot. Meanwhile, out front, NZ Jack shot up McToasty. I missed that, looking back to see through the field. Sorry, viewers. McToasty doesn't look like he's banged up, but he has fallen back to 3rd as it's NZ Jack who shoots up into the lead from the outside row there. And that might be the big advantage if you can make that work. Whole pack of cars there right on top of each other. Looks like the top 6 have got a little bit of separation. Just piddling with those tires right now, just trying to find the grip as NZ Jack comes around to take the end of the first lap. Back to our drone footage a little bit. There's Cat chasing his way back up. And we've got some racing for position as McToasty is all over Taijo now. That's the battle for 2nd place. Looks like Pogo and Cracked Piston already in the pits. Unfortunately, Cracked Piston doesn't complete his first lap of Flux competition without coming in to make a repair stop, as does Pogo. But as I said, with everybody, in my opinion, maybe having to change tires, they might be able to make it work. If they can make their tires last and they can run a smart race, they are definitely not out of this at this point. Front 3 with a little bit of an edge here. NZ Jack settling into 1st, McToasty shooting up to Taijo to 2nd, McToasty to 3rd, just piddling, running back there in 4th. He's got a slight edge on Revs Martin in 5th. It's like Cat Guy looking to make a move there on Revs Martin. Not getting great camera angles on the track side, so I'm going to try to get on our drone footage here. This is the battle for 5th place. As we said, Cat Guy, a longtime veteran of this series, or the predecessors to this series, even before the Flux Motorsport days. And he was a contender for the title last season, finished 3rd in the championship a season ago, but this has just not been his season. It has been one thing after another for Cat. But he is the defending champion of this race. I think he feels fairly confident that he can put down a good ride, and we'll just have to see what the weather does here, as I believe that's Pogo coming out of the pits right there. Nope, that's, who is that just in front of him? Is that just Piddlin? Yes, it is. So he's back on top of him now too. Battle shaping up all over the track here at Watkins Glen. We're going to keep our eyes on him best we can. Meanwhile, up front, NZ Jack's got that vet out into a bit of a lead. He's just ahead of Taijo and McToasty as they are running lap 3 and heading into the boot. I mean, the key thing here, I think, is to remember that it does not, you could be quick in the beginning. You're going to see a lot of tire drop off. I think guys were talking of anywhere along the range of 4 to 6 seconds per lap through a fuel run. That puts you in a position where strategies are going to be different. You might see some guys, as I said, decide to pit. You might see some guys not, decide to stretch it. But I think the key thing here is it can change at any moment. You slap that thing into the wall and damage it. It doesn't matter if you're running. We've seen that all season. Front runners not being able to hold their spot because they get into an incident or loop the car. And I think that's the key if you want sim racing to be actual sim racing. When I raced growing up, I remember being told, go fast and bring it back. And The key thing being, if you don't bring it back, it doesn't matter if you go fast. The old can't finish first. At first, you don't finish. And I think that's been something we've seen all season. Cat Guy, Pogo, Dale the Whale when he's not topping the podium. These are guys who have gotten cars wrapped around things a little bit when they haven't been going fast. So I think that some of it obviously is not a driver's fault. They get caught up in other incidents, but it really is a matter of knowing where you are on the track, knowing when it's time to take the risk and when it's not. I don't know here. I might want to be risky when my tires are good. I might want to be, if I think I'm better on old tires than somebody else, then I might want to do it once the tires are worn, because I think I can drive a car with old tires better. It depends on the driver, what your particular, feel for the car is, specialty is, really is the key. Take a look real quick. There's our leader coming in the boot. Yeah, Pogo and Cracked Piston, or at least Pogo, already a lap down. As you can see, the extensive repairs that front end of that car needed, they just really slapped it back together. So Pogo having another recovery drive this week. But as I said, long way to go. We'll see what kind of lap times he can put up. These guys running 151s at the moment up front. On the last lap, we'll see what they get this time by. I don't expect to see a whole lot of lap consistency here, especially as the track changes, as the water gets on the track. Obviously, more rain. Don't know what you're going to get. Looks like McToasty's fallen back about 2.5 seconds here to the front two. Might be a matter of just trying to get into a comfortable spot and saving his car. As I said, came in here second in the points with the guy he's chasing up front, but I don't think he wants to have the guy he's chasing in the championship ahead of him at any point. You want to be out front. You want to be dictating the pace of the race if you are the chaser. Thank you, Daz, commenting on it. Wish you were out there. Deadly Hawk's got a little bang up there on the right as that Porsche's back there. Like I've talked about Deadly Hawk quite a bit since last season. Him and Taijo both. This is a Corvette heavy series here in the American Sports Car Championship. And he and McToasty have really been the Ford factory and Porsche factory drivers, respectively, this season, and or the last couple seasons. And as I said, Deadly Hawk getting on the podium at Willow Springs was well deserved. I believe it's noble because I think most drivers would believe that the GT or the Porsche the 911 is better in GT3 trim than in GTE trim, but nonetheless, Deadly Hawk has been grinding this thing along as he's trying to get by Rebs Martin here for 7th place, and these two are going at it pretty good. Let's get back up front, however, as Taijo has put himself well within range. Let's go ahead and get on board here with Taijo in the Ford GT, and you can see what he's seeing. He does not have his windshield wipers on. Ooh, and it looks like Jack has gone wide. Jack has gone wide. Did he avoid hitting anything? Goes wide in the bus stop. Looks like he avoided making any contact. I don't see any damage to the car. Very well done by NZ Jack, but he is going to fall back from first to third, and that is going to give the lead to Taijo, with McToasty right on his tail. So NZ Jack now, the points leader, having to get himself back under. And I expect to see a lot of that over the course of this race, only working lap 6, just 10.5 minutes into the 45-minute race. So tough brakes there. He's going back even further. I'm wondering if something's wrong with the car here. I don't see any damage on it. I don't see any damage, but he's gone back 15 seconds, so he looped it again. And that is just going to be devastating because he really does need to stay right there in range of McToasty in this championship. He's staying out, so I'm imagining the car's okay, but he is going to have some recovery work to do as he fell all the way back to 5th place. Meanwhile, that puts Taijo in front, and he's got a pretty decent gap there on McToasty. Taijo, as we said, the Ford factory mainstay since the inauguration of the Flux American Sports Car Championship last season, and got his first win and the first and only win thus far for Ford earlier this season at Willow Springs. And came in here 3rd in the championship, just 28 points back himself. You get the most points by winning, he could definitely put himself right back into this, particularly if Jack and McToasty have any more issues themselves over the course of the race. But I think in Jack's case, we'll get back on him. I've been in this position before myself. You got to take a deep breath, realize that what you just did, the other guy can give it back to you too. Just get back in the groove, minimize the damage, get back to running your lap times, and race the track. And I think that's all he needs to do right here. And Z got that first win, as we said, in round 3 at Long Beach earlier this season in a beautiful drive. As there's a tight cluster of cars, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, just piddling OGR Cat Guy and NZ Jack right there running within a few seconds of each other. There's just piddling. As we said, the rookie driver made a heck of a splash on his debut as he finished 2nd at Daytona in the season opener, but has had trouble finding the consistency since then. Still consistently finishing in the middle of the pack has put him 5th in the points here through 5 races though, so he can definitely move up here today. Let's take a look back into the cockpit here of the Corvette of NZ Jack. You can see what he's looking up at. About a second ahead, as it looks like just Piddlin might have went a little wide there, and it appears he did. But here, look, is it just me, or is the rain slowing down just slightly? I mean, it's definitely not going to dry up as we hit the 30-minute mark here. With the 30-minute mark here, I don't think it's going to dry up, but maybe slowing down a little bit. All right, you're starting to see the guys have a little bit of problems as these tires go. McToasty, we didn't catch it there, but obviously he had a little moment as he is now 12 seconds behind Taijo. Does not look like the car is banged up, so I'm going to guess bus stop maybe. still in second place. But the fact is, there's a long time for all that kind of stuff to happen. This is not going to be a static race, I don't believe. NZ Jack looking to make the move on Cat Guy, as he has caught up to him. Pogo back there is a lap down in 10th, but he's running 152.0 the last time. He's running some very good lap times. He had the fastest lap on the track on the last lap. So Pogo definitely keep grinding out at, because you don't know how this is going to go. I think these guys, the way their cars are skidding around, you might be, like I said, you might be looking at a pit stop, you might not be. But right here is a key battle, because you're coming up on halfway through the race. The car here that can get in front of the other one, and I'm counting just Piddling up in third in this as well, that can get through here and get away from the others, likely can get away from them with a clear track, and maybe their last chance really to get, without mistakes obviously, to get up and make a move towards the front. This is when you're in that mid-pack, circling around somewhere around the top 5 cluster. It'll be a little bit farther back when there's a bigger field. In a field this size, it'll be around 3rd to 5th, and whoever gets out in front here has really got the edge. Jack goes to the inside, shows and go. Ooh. And he is going to slide. Does he keep it off the wall? He does. That was a very, very close move, as Jack just got up to the inside of Cat Guy and slid across them right at the apex as they're heading into the corner. Cat Guy obviously trying to get on the brakes or at least get off the throttle, but they may have just barely touched. And that sent Jack back around. That's a tough call to make there, because knowing myself from being in the cockpit, if I'm in Cat Guy's position, you're probably saying, I tried to stay off you, but, you know, that was a very tight move. It was a clean pass by NZ Jack, but it was definitely a risky pass, because there was not a lot of margin for error, especially in the wet, and I think maybe he might have just got a little bit of a tap. It was maybe a slightly late move, but I do think it was fair. Have to see how the stewards would see it, but nonetheless, it's going to push Jack back again. Cat Guy apparently did not do him any favors either, as he's fallen back a few seconds from just Piddling as well in his quest to catch up for the podium. So we'll have to see how that plays out. All right, meanwhile, back up front, Taijo continues to lead. Has not had his moment. Looks like everybody else has started to have their moments. The one who has not had the moment has been Taijo. Nursing an 11-second lead. Working lap 11, just under 26 minutes remaining. Coming up on some lapped cars, that is Deadly Hawk in 8th place. Flashing the lights, letting them know take it. Good job by Deadly Hawk. That being said, though, you're looking at the splits, and does not look like Taijo quite has the pace McToasty does, so maybe McToasty is starting to reel him in a little bit. Perhaps Taijo had a more aggressive setup. Maybe the tires are going. I think, though, although personally you'd see me use a little more variability with the time where I would pit if I had to. I think, from what I've seen from most of the races here in Flux with a pit stop, if these guys don't stop near halfway, they're not going to. Now, you can gain some advantage through short pitting or long pitting, you know, early or late. There's a whole book that I'm not going to, a whole lot of info and a book of info I'm not going to get into about that right here. That being said, the conservative play of pitting right dead center is what I've mostly seen, and we're getting near that point here pretty soon. Somewhere between 25 minutes and 20 minutes to go is where you might see guys make a normally scheduled pit stop, rather than trying to short pit. I mean, I might try to short pit on a race like this, just because of the nature of the tires in a wet setting. Just because of the general nature of the tires in a wet setting, I would probably think about trying to mess with that strategy a little. Don't know if that's what's going to happen here, obviously. Everybody's got their own plans. Sometimes making that early pit stop can give you an advantage if you can hold on to the car later. It has a lot to do with where you're running and what you anticipate traffic will be like as you come out. I generally would short pit if I was stuck in traffic to some degree, just to get a clear track. Saying that you want to be able to do your fastest laps at some point. Even if you have to pit in a position where you feel like it's not ideal, where maybe you're going to have suboptimal laps at another point because you're pitting too early or too late, but you want to make sure you get to them at the very least. And I think that what's happening right now is that's what the guys have to guess. They have to figure out what's going to be optimal for me to get this car to its optimal overall time, not just the time, per se, per lap. Meanwhile, stabilizing a little bit up there, Taijo, just around 10 seconds, as we are now crossed flags past the halfway point here at the Flux ASC at Watkins Glen. Just glad to have you. We'll be back tomorrow night, of course, 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UK time on here on Flux TV for the Flux American Tours IndyCar Championship. That'll be right back here on the short circuit at Watkins Glen. Cat Guy hitting the pit lane in the number 3 factory Corvette, so there's no damage there. So this is a scheduled pit stop. He has decided, I'm going to put fresh rubber on it with a lighter fuel load, and I can tell you right now that these are going to be the fastest. This is going to be the fastest he's going to run. So better take advantage of it. Muttley also coming into the pits in the number 8 Ford. So these guys deciding to pit right around halfway, and is that going to force the hand of the guys up front? We'll have to wait and see what kind of laps are they going to run coming out, and will that be an effective strategy? I think in Cat Guy's case, with the luck he's had this season, he figures it's worth a roll of the dice. All right, we're going to get the split time there, obviously showing another little bobble for McToasty. In fact, you can see a little dent up on the hood, so he has definitely made contact with something. And that car looks like it might have a little steering issue. He did not take the carousel, or did not take the end of the boot there like he really felt comfortable with it. And it might be possible that we'll see McToasty get in. If he's got to make some repairs, that is going to be a big advantage to NZ Jack and Taijo here in the championship. McToasty, however, is a tough-nosed driver. If anybody will grind it out with the car, it'll be him. But that thing's looking, I can't tell, is he missing the rear wing? Yes, he is. He's missing the rear wing as well, and that is going to be impossible to drive. You might be able to drive this thing in the dry without the rear wing, depending on the track, but you are definitely not going to do it here in the wet. So that in and of itself, that is big. Second place in the points, and your pole sitter back into the pits again. Going to be obviously slapping a new wing on it. Peculiar how that rear tire's spinning, isn't it? But I guess they're jacked up right now, so it's just kind of going with the flow. Bang out the front there and try to get back out. Let's see if he loses any time here to Cat Guy. Looks to me like Cat Guy's going to pass him. McToastie's not on the move, and definitely Cat Guy's going to pass him into 4th place. All right, so with McToastie falling down with his repairs, Taijo's got a comfortable lead now on just Piddlin, who's up into 2nd place. Some 22 seconds back, and NZ Jack has shot all the way back up to 3rd after his early problems. So, major development here at the midway point of the race. McToastie coming in 13 points back of NZ Jack, needed to gain as much ground on him as possible, and now he is going to have to make a recovery drive as he comes out in 6th place. And he is going to have to try to drive his way back up. Cat Guy, the top driver currently among the cars who has made a pit stop. Yeah, Rebs Martin fell back. I haven't been on him. Let's see if he's got some damage, as he's fallen back to 10th and is a lap down. I did not see him. Did he hit the pits? I'm not sure if I saw him hit the pits. But the way that car is driving, it looks okay. Revs, as we said, made his debut late last season. He's been promising all season long. He's run with the leaders. As we said earlier in the broadcast, I think once he qualifies a little better and irons out the hitches in his giddy-up, so to speak, in terms of the odd incident here and there, you definitely have a podium contender. He's quick in the car and consistent when he's running well. Look like our debutante cracked piston heading back into the pit lane in the number 5 egg melt car, likely making some repairs. You can see the front end of the hood popped up a little bit there. But it's just his first race debut here, not just in the ASC, but in Flux Motorsport in general. And we're glad to have him. He's been grinding it out. It looks like he's going to go out and try to just finish this race like a true racer does. So kudos to him. Like Pogo and Deadly Hawk have a little battle for position going for 7th. Let's jump on board the Porsche. You can see the hood a little banged up on Deadly Hawk, but let's jump on board the Porsche and see what he's seeing. I think that car is not handling for him. It's banged up a little bit right there. You can see him fighting that thing. But he is grinding it out. Fastest lap on the track that last time, identical 1:53.035s for Muttley and Pogo, but Pogo just passed the line again. So we'll see where Muttley ends up. Muttley in 5th place in his Ford GT right now, and running very quickly, as I said, currently on the board. Fastest car on the track on the board. As he came in, made the tire change. So a shot here. Matt moving up. Running about a second quicker than Cat Guy that last time. As Deadly Hawk hits the pit lane to do some repairs. As you can see, that Porsche is a little banged up, especially on the front end there. You can see the timing's not quite right there on our interval, but McToastie battling with Muttley for that top 5 spot as we have 15 minutes to go, so probably about 8 laps remaining. Or so here at Watkins Glen. Chase footage, as you can see, that spray's got to be terrible McToastie's got to be careful. Every point here is vital. He wants to just stay within range. If he can just get past, he's got to be thinking, even if the top three stay out, if he can just get past Cat Guy and Muttley and only lose a tiny bit of ground to NZ Jack, then maybe he'll still be in good shape. Still 2 rounds to go. This series moving along with the entire Flux American Tour to Laguna Seca next week, and then finishes up at the Texas Motor Speedway road course. So he's just thinking, chop off whatever I can. But McToastie's got to be getting a little antsy. As I said, does not have a win in this series yet, dating back to last season. Looking to get his first win in the ASC. But he has the most podiums. He has 4 podiums in 5 races this season without a win. He has been the most consistent driver and the most consistently fast driver. But right here, it's going to come down to, can he make the move and where can he make the move? As he is right on Muttley now. In that battle for a position in the top 5. Used to tell my drivers that drove for my race team, put up the numbers. You try to win, you can't win, you get a podium. Can't get a podium, you get a top 5. Can't get a top 5, get a top 10. But I used to tell them, put the numbers up. When you look at the stats and the way we had our stats set out, you know, you wanted to see wins, podiums, top 5s, top 10s. If you're not the type of driver that can win races, then I want to see you put up as many top 10s as you can, or top 5s, or whatever you're capable of. Set that bar and go for it. And top 5 is a big spot. And Muttley is going to fight to hang on to it. Oh, and right there he goes slamming into the wall coming off the corner, and that is going to give it. McToastie just pressuring him a little bit too much, but I'd like to think Muttley didn't so much succumb to the pressure as he succumbed to the fact that he's driving on a track that is very slick. Got to give a shout out to Pogo. Very first lap, he got that thing banged up, and he's moved it back up from dead last up to 7th, still running a lap down, but his lap times have consistently been right there with the leaders. It's been the same story a lot of races this season in this series for Pogo. You're looking at a car and a driver that absolutely could have won the race, absolutely has the pace and the experience, but whether somebody got into him or he just got a little happy on the throttle and put it into the wall, either way, it's been a recovery drive, but nonetheless an excellent recovery drive for Pogo, as he is still obviously had an extensive repair and may not be able to move up much more than where he's at, but a good job there getting to where he is. He is right behind just Piddle in the 2nd place car. All right, we'll cycle back up front. Taijo, meanwhile, with 11 minutes to go, no problems. 27 seconds is the lead right now. He has put up the fastest car at times. He has, been running up at that pace. He hasn't been a clear-cut fastest driver, but he has been consistent. Oftentimes, the European drivers are known for their proficiency in the wet, and Taijo's proven that here. He won a race in the driest of conditions earlier this season at Willow Springs, and now here across the continent at Watkins Glen, he's just putting on a masterful performance right now. He's lapping quickly, not putting a wheel wrong. He's got a sizable lead that at this point you would say he could only give it up to himself or by making a mistake, but the fact of the matter is here, as we hit 10 minutes to go, maybe 5-6 more laps remaining, it's not just on him. He could come into traffic, he could make his own little mistake, but what about any fall off? I think that the tire wear, I was really concerned. We had guys talking about 4 and 5 second drop offs, but these 3 up front have not pitted. Taijo, Just Piddlin, and NZ Jack, and they are still running 153s, 154s. McToastie putting up a 151.0 fresh tires and low fuel after his pit stop, that may be the fastest lap of the race. Let's take a look and see if that possibly could give him the bonus. At the moment, yep, at 150.901. Oh, 150.5 by Taijo would currently be the bonus. So we'll see if there's any room to go there with that. McToasty probably out there also thinking of that right now. Taijo coming up through some lap traffic here. That is obviously going to be a concern. Deadly Hawk gets out of the way for the blue flag. Very well done. We said Taijo looking for that second win of the season and his second career win in the series. A little bit off here in our timing. He is not 0.2 of a second behind McToasty right now, but McToasty is closing in a bit on Cat Guy for 4th place, and that is vital because NZ Jack wants every point he can get in the battle for the championship. So right now, McToasty wanting to pick up those extra couple points. 5th place pays 23 points, 4th place pays 25. And with a championship so tight, as it almost always is, that is very valuable. Toasty and Muttley tearing it up in the 152s right there in the last couple laps. Let's see what Cat Guy puts up this time when he gets by. See him being very easy on that throttle coming out of the corner there. 54.9. McToasty 51.6. He's gaining on him by a couple seconds a lap at this point. So McToasty clearly the quicker car at this point. But these are as hard of conditions as there is to pass. We said we gave McToasty some time earlier here back in the cockpit, and you can see it even when you're not directly on somebody. The spray can be difficult. It's hard to see exactly where he is, hard to see where your braking points are. All right, getting down 5 minutes remaining here at Watkins Glen. As we remind you, tomorrow night, the Flux IndyCar Championship will be right back here at the Glen, 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UK time. There are open spots available in that race, so Flux Motorsport drivers, come on out and make an at-large start here in the IndyCars. Should be a spot or two available. We would love to have you out here. like cracked piston back in the pits. Let's see what his car looks like. A little banged up. He said, making his debut, we can't just give him time to sort the car out, but he's grinding it out to the finish, and in fact is going to finish. So kudos for being a pro. All right, here we go. McToasty looking to get that 4th place spot. He's got the quicker car, but it's going to be very tough to make that pass. Look, he's right in the spray. And as I said last season when we were here, I think the thing people don't get is coming up through the S's there, and even on the back section here, the aerodynamics is very important here. You will see aerodynamic push or aero understeer when you get up on a car going through the S's or going through the bus stop. It changes the way the car handles. This track is fast enough, and these cars big enough to cut a hole in the air, that you will see some turbulence, and it gets harder the closer you get to somebody in front of you, obviously, and that could be a factor here as well. NZ Jack has been slowly moving up on just piddling for second, but not quite within range yet. These two, meanwhile, are right at it. As McToasty's just trying to find the place where he can make the pass. He is right on his tail. Looks like the little lady is upset about something. Not a McToasty fan? He's passing him for 4th. I guess the little girl doesn't like McToasty. She's a Cat Guy fan. Sorry. It was a clean move. So you can cry all you want. I'm telling her, but she's not listening. Still upset. Sorry, McToasty. But all right, McToasty got it done, moved up into 4th. I got to believe that barring a mistake, he should be able to pull away, and that's going to keep him from losing a whole lot of ground to NZ Jack heading into next week at the very difficult Laguna Seca. All right, meanwhile, up front, there's the man of the night, Taijo, the Ford factory mainstay, European driver here on the American Tour. He's been running the Indy cars and the ASC. As I said earlier in the broadcast, got his first win and the first and only win for Ford in the series earlier this season at the Glen. And in my opinion, he's been developing that car. He's been consistently in the top 3 or 5. And here tonight, he's been quick, but he's just been consistent. You have not seen, ever since he shot up from, I believe, the 4th starting position into the lead a few laps, 4 or 5 laps into this race. Ever since that, he has been, you haven't seen the rubber banding of the gap. He has not been he's just not making any bobbles. There have been times when other guys have been faster than him, but he's not making the little bobble and mistake. Now, I got to believe, that's the driver partly for just putting in a tremendous performance, obviously. Also, you got to give some credit to the car. You got to have good grip. You got to have a good setup, the right tire setup, the right tire pressures. All that stuff has to be right for you to be able to do that in conditions like this. And I think that he has definitely made it work. And now here he comes across the line, flashing the lights, and Taijo is your winner in the Flux American Sports Car Championship at Watkins Glen. His 2nd career win in the series and his 2nd win of the season. And this is going to help shoot him right back into the championship. He came in here tonight 28 points back from NZ Jack and just 15 points behind McToasty. And by my quick math calculations, this is going to pull him within 20 points of the leader. Plus, he's got a bonus point coming. So this is definitely going to keep Taijo in the championship with a tremendous performance. Just Piddlin manages to hold off NZ Jack as he crosses the line a few seconds ahead of him and gets his second podium finish and second runner-up spot. We'll get to the final results as these guys cross the line here shortly, but the man of the hour is Taijo. Career win and season win number 2. Qualified 4th. Got off to a solid start, waited for things to sort out in front of him, passed the leaders, and comes home with the victory. Very difficult conditions here today. These drivers had a lot to deal with, and they did a terrific job. All 10 starters are going to finish the race, which is a credit both to their preparation, their professionalism, and their respect for the sport, really. All right, folks, so we've got your final results here for the Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 2 American Sports Car Championship Round 6 at Watkins Glen. Taking the victory in the Ford GT is Taijo. He also will claim, I believe, yes, he will claim the bonus point for the fastest lap. Just a tremendous performance. Came from a 4th place starting run to pick up his second win of the season. Coming in second in the McCool's Corvette is Just Piddlin. It is his second podium and his second runner-up finish of the season. A great job by him in the rain. Coming in third is your points leader, NZ Jack. Had a very decent start. Then he had his little bobbles that cost him. Managed still to fight his way back and ends up on the podium yet again. Great job for Zach. So to Jack, congratulations to Taijo, Just Piddlin, and NZ Jack on our podium. Coming in 4th is McToasty, your pole sitter. I think he felt like he had a shot at winning this race. He had a few problems with the car. Fought his way back after the damage stop. Still managed to come up with a top 5. Right behind him in 5th is OGR Cat Guy, a decent top 5 performance. He had to make a damage stop, but still comes out with a decent run. 6th place will be Muttley in the other Ford GT. A solid day for the Ford cars. Muttley will be pretty pleased with. Wanted to get a top 5, but ran a very solid race. Pogo Mojo, a good recovery drive after the first lap bang up. He comes home in 7th. Revs Martin is going to drag the Team Paris Spirit car home in 8th. Deadly Hawk gives the Porsche factory car a drive up to 9th, and rounding out our field, coming in 3 laps down, but in his debut, Cracked Piston, welcome to the show, buddy. We are glad to see you here. All right, folks, that's going to do it for myself, Carlin Hicks, here at Flux TV. We're going to be signing off from Watkins Glen. Another fantastic night of racing. Congratulations to Taijo on the victory, AFC at Watkins Glen winner, as well as his podium compatriots Just Piddlin and NZ Jack. We will see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UK time for the Flux IndyCar Championship right back here at the Glen. So for all the drivers for Flux TV, this is Carlin Hicks. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.